yours, mine, and MLK's dream. I often think about how the time and place of our birth shapes us, how we are formed and sculpted by the truths, beliefs, prejudices, lies, and unquestioned assumptions of our times. In biblical times, everyone knew the earth was flat and that magic ruled the sea, the land, and skies. Over time and with observation, more intellectually enlightened societies amassed enough data to know the earth was round, a sphere that had no edge off of which one might plunge into oblivion. 5 centuries before Jesus walked the earth, the Greeks knew the earth was round, and circa the summer solstice 240 BCE, Eratosthenes used geometry to measure the earth, casting light for all via shadows as he compared the angle of the sun from one location to that a known distance away, and by doing the math, was able to calculate the earth's size. He knew how far it was from Alexandria to Syene, and once he knew the difference between the two angles, he was able to extrapolate the Earth's circumference based on this knowledge. Let there be light! Fast forward to the first third of the 20th century, a time far more enlightened than that of Eratosthenes 25,000-ish centuries prior. Fast forward to 1929 CE, a jump in time that lands us in modern America, a land founded a century and a half earlier on freedom, truth, justice, and equality for all. Among the approximately 1.4 million babies born in the U.S. in 1929 were Michael L. King Jr. and my father, 2 babies born a mere 19 weeks and 800 miles apart, a distance coincidentally similar to that which separates Alexandria and Syene. Though my father's and Michael's births were separated by a mere 4 months, Michael's death preceded Dad's by 46 years. MLK Jr., I'm going to stop including the junior, you know who I mean, died 2 weeks before my 7th birthday, and 7-year-old me didn't have a very clear idea what was going on. I knew there were riots. I knew my parents were angry and saddened by King's assassination. I knew they were frightened for our country, but what I didn't know was how my 1920-born mother and my 1929-born father were products of the place and times of their birth, products of the myths accepted as truths, and truths rejected as falsehood that had shaped them in their 5 and 4 decades of life. In an interesting twist, Dad died about 66 miles east of where MLK was shot and killed. Michael L. King Jr. was born January 15, 1929, but in 1934, King's father, Michael L. Sr., unofficially changed both his own and his firstborn son's name to Martin Luther King. This change came after King Sr. turned northern Africa, the Near East, Italy, and Germany, where that Reverend King visited the Wittenberg Castle, where, in 1517, Martin Luther had nailed his 95 theses concerning the faults of the Catholic Church to the door of Wittenberg's church, an act that likewise presented a lever which shifted the earth's position. In 1934, Michael King Jr. became Martin Luther King Jr., a change that at the time apparently overwhelmed the eventually famous, venerated, and tragically martyred preacher. It wasn't until July 23, 1957, that Dr. King's birth certificate officially showed his name change. The things we can learn if we only try, huh? In his time, MLK was deemed a subversive radical for demanding that we treat human beings in the manner that the USA claims to have been founded. A claim that was, of course, a mistruth, fake news, alt-fact, lie from its inception and remains a lie today. To claim all men are created equal, while enslaving and holding as property those in their progeny in perpetuity who are not of the WPCM, white, property, Christian, male persuasion, is a perversion of the United States Declaration of Independence, a perversion against which King fought and died, but it is a perversion that has not died, that has not gone away, and that persists to this day. FDR declared the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, but this statement is both true and falsehood. Fear drives us to atrocities, to murder, to worshiping and embracing demagogues who tell it like it is, as those fatuous fools preach the same hatred, nationalism, racism, anti-Islamic, anti-Jewish bigotry that gave rise to the fascists that MLK Sr. saw on his trip to Berlin 88 years ago, a trip which led to the Baptist World Alliance declaring, This Congress deplores and condemns as a violation of the law of God, the Heavenly Father, all racial animosity and every form of oppression or unfair discrimination toward the Jews, towards colored people, or towards subject races in any part of the world. A sentiment, a thought, an ideal which the USA claims to embody while wrapping our arms around our insurrectionist, defeated former president and hopeful plutocrat Donald J. Trump, a man who is the antithesis of the American dream, a dream where all Americans can participate in government through voting, where people are not killed because they are the wrong color, the wrong religion, the wrong sex, or the wrong gender. Because like it or not, face it or not, this is the USA for many of our citizens, both citizens that are denied as well as those who deny the equality and respect to their siblings that they demand for self. We all need to look in a mirror and ask ourselves where we stand on the principles upon which the USA was founded, because I guarantee each of us is filled with the truths, beliefs, prejudice, lies, and unquestioned assumptions of our times. That we all look in that mirror, contemplate and act on what we see is my dream. What's yours?